Hi, good day, guys. Just give me a second. All right, just 1 second. I'll be right with you in just a minute. Oh, man. Okay, the screen has been shared. Welcome back to English 3.2. All right, guys, so last time we were talking about a good practice towards becoming more persuasive with your writing. And that good practice was try to be specific. Okay. So when you are specific enough about what you are writing, it will sort of increase the potential of clearing doubts that your readers might have. Okay. So it's better, of course, when you read something and you are clear, you don't have any doubts. Okay. So being specific is, definitely one of the good practice you want to keep up. All right. So that's what we did in our last session. Today we're going to be looking at the second good practice, and it says don't include ideas you cannot support. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so what does it mean? Do not include ideas that you cannot support. Now, don't get me wrong here. Support here doesn't mean explain. Okay, support here means finding a reference, source of reference. Most of the time when you're writing an assignment, okay, you are considered a non-expert writer. So every time you make a claim, or every time you even when you justify a claim, you will need to refer to some source of information just to validate that, the statement that you are making, it's, it's is not necessarily valid, but it is something that you didn't make up. Okay, right. A lot of time you might come across ideas that are common sense, and you probably just wonder if you could just write it down without citing any source, because it's a common sense. Everyone should be familiar with this. Like, when you heat up waters long enough, when you heat up the waters to the right temperatures at the sea level, it's going to change its form. Every household has seen this phenomenon, right? So you might want to say, oh, when water is heated up to boiling temperatures, it changes its phase. And you can just get away with that. Right, moving on to the next statement. No, you can't. All right. Even though it is a common sense, everything that you write on in your assignment is either that you state clearly that this comes from your observation. Okay, if the phenomenon that I have just described is from your personal observation, then you will have to say that clearly, that, okay, while heating up water, I observe that the temperatures, when I heat up water, I observe that the water evaporates, changes its phase from liquid to gas at the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. You have to state that it comes from your observation. Okay, otherwise you will have to look for that information on the internet, and you need to know the person who you can refer to. Okay, you already need reference, right? So, what if you want to make a statement that sort of overgeneralize a little bit? Like if you say, all Thai people today, they have good work-life balance, right? All Thai people have good work-life balance. Okay, let's say you want to have this statement somewhere in your report. Okay, and after doing a little bit of research, I mean, you can't find any source of information that you could use to back up your claim. I mean, you can't refer to any source to say, all Thai people have good work-life balance. So what you should do is try to narrow down the scope. Okay, of course, no one is going to be conducting that kind of survey that engage millions of people into the in asking millions of people questions. It's not very likely, but it's more likely that if you sort of add some demographic information to that, okay, you might be able to find articles where you can make that kind of claims. For example, if you look it up in Google Scholar, and you you know, add some demographic information to your search terms. Example, Thai people aged between 30 and 40, okay, are very likely to have, work-life balance. You might be able to find, because what you do is that you're essentially decreasing the sample size. All right, you said all Thai people or most Thai people have good work-life balance. That sample size has to be huge. Okay, but when you narrow down, you add demographic information to it, like you add age range, you could as well add regional information, like Thai people age between this and that who live in Bangkok have a good work-life balance. Okay, you might be able to find some information source that you can use to back up your statement. Right. But what if you have tried all of this? Okay, you have narrowed down the scope by adding some demographic information. You add genders, all right, like Thai man aged between 30 and 40 who live in Bangkok. You have done all of this, but still you can't find anything online. So what should you do? Well, the next thing you can do is, if it is okay for you to not to use study conducted by someone else, you can talk about people in your family. Okay, so, but like always, you have to make it clear that this is from your personal observation. Okay, so you can say most Thai people, in this case, most people in your family. Okay, most of my family members, they now have very good work-life balance. Now, these statements could be valid. Okay, why? Because at least you are referring to yourself. Okay, so the source of information is coming from you, but the level of credibility is, of course, it's not going to be very high compared to information that you obtain from research paper or literature. It's not going to be very high. So you need to know where this information go. Okay, if you are using it to create awareness, say you are writing an assignment about how important work-life balance is. Okay, in the introduction, you can either say, hey, you don't think Thai people today are having good work-life balance. And a good example is from members in your family. This is something you can do because you are writing this statement in the sense that you want to create awareness. Okay, that's all right. Right. Okay. But when you are trying to prove your claim, okay, then that's when you need to refer to the valid source of information. Right. So I hope this part is clear. Now let's have a look at exercise 2. Okay. So exercise 2 asks you to adjust the scope of the following claim and find some evidence to support it. You could use secondary research or anecdotes. Okay. So you want to write these statements down in your assignment, maybe in your introduction. Okay. But when you look up online, right? Nobody drinks coffee nowadays. I mean, you don't even have to look up. This is almost impossible, right? This statement is definitely false, right? Nobody drinks coffee nowadays because I'm drinking coffee, and you probably drink coffee as well. So this statement right now, it is false. Okay. How would you make this more plausible? Okay. How could you turn a false statement into a statement that has some truth in it? Okay. That can be true. This is false now, and it's not very, very convincing. Okay. How would you make it a little bit more convincing by making it more true than this, or more likely to be true? All right. So one way to do it is to use some complement. You need to add something to it to create a sector where not drinking coffee is possible. Because if you overgeneralize this, okay, if you apply this to the whole population in the world, it's not very likely. So you need something to segregate some people from the rest. For example, what I can say is nobody who have heart disease, all right, drinks coffee nowadays. Nobody who have heart disease drink coffees nowadays. So when you add who have heart disease, I would say when you add who have heart disease in your statement, this segregate this population from the rest. Okay, so it is more likely that people who have heart disease, they're not drinking coffees. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So this is more likely. Okay, but of course, some people who have heart disease, they may be drinking coffee. If that's the case, then this statement is not quite convincing. All right, so we might have to narrow this down a little bit further, okay, by saying some things like nobody who have heart diseases in my family drink coffee. Okay. So when you add in my family, okay, this is more likely to be true. Okay, because the set that we are now looking at is quite small. Okay, it's quite small, so it is possible for you to for these statements to be true. All right. Next, let's look at how to establish credibility. Previously, in chapter 3, we were talking about the use of expert opinion to help justify your claim, right? What is almost as important as using expert opinion is knowing that expert background. Okay. It's important to know the background of that expert or the area or the field that he specializes. Because, um, you know, someone might be an expert in medicine, but if he's making a comment regarding electrical system, power system, then his opinion will be less credible because um, he's not a specialist in that field. Okay. Likewise, if somebody who has a degree in engineering go and make comments, about how to cure a certain disease, then his opinion is it's not going to be very credible because he's not a specialist, or his expertise only is in the area of engineering. Okay. So of course, a lot of time you are writing assignments, you can be a little bit biased. In fact, everyone's has some degrees of bias when they are writing assignment. Okay, you some people may have their knowledge, past knowledge. Some people might even some people are even able to, write a whole paragraph based on their past knowledge because they know that they can always, look up online and they would definitely find sort of information or statement from someone that concur with what they think. Right? Okay. Of course, there's going to be a contradictory statement out there, but most people would just choose to go after sources that agree with what they're writing. Yeah, you see what I mean, right? Okay, so a lot of us have some bias. Okay, it's not ideal. It's not the best practice that this. Let's face the fact, right? You just want to get assignment done at any cost. So being a little bit biased is okay, as long as you can, support. Back up your claim with some reference. But when you are using your reference, it's better to check a little bit from whom you are referring. Okay, you don't just go online like to Google Scholar and write down, and type some keywords from your assignment and look for articles that has something that matches yours, and then copy and paste. You don't just want to do that, right? You want to go and see who that author really is. If you're making a claims about business management, okay, and when you look up online and you see a match, you want to first see who that author is. Does he have any experience in management? What is his background? Did they have a degree in business management or a similar or related degree, the related qualification? If he does, then of course, that's good. Okay. Better yet, you want to include a little bit of his profile in your assignment. So you don't just write, human resource management is better than personal management, in parentheses, John, 2005. That's what a lot of people do, which is not really a problem. But if you are making a statement, if that statement, is controversial, right? What is controversial? It is something that is a statement where half of the people in your countries might disagree, whereas the other half might agree. Controversial issue. If you write down a statement that is likely to be controversial, then the credibility of expert of the other is important. So you don't want to say human resource management, is more suitable than personal management for this particular business. Parenthesis, John. You want to go John, okay, and then you want to talk about John a little bit. And John here has mean the other, okay. All right, I just came up with a random name, John, okay. But then you have to include a little bit of his profile. So who's John? Is he a professor at a university somewhere? And what subjects does he teach? So you might say John, professor from Yale University, specializing in human resource management. Discover this in his study. Okay. So that's how you establish credibility. Now let's have a look at this paragraph. So we're going to read this together. Michio Kaku, a Japanese-American theoretical physicist and a professor of theoretical physics at the City College of New York and Kennedy Graduate Center, say, as humans in a free country, we are free to believe whatever we want about global warming and to disagree about anything. But any comment that has relevance has to be backed up by both mathematics and data, not just good intentions. All right. So the statement that you want to include in your argument is this, right? When you come across this thing, you might find this very profound, very important. You want to include this statement in your assignment. But this statement itself might lead some people to thinking about how true this is. Okay, it might be about something controversial. So for this kind of statement, you want to increase the level of credibility. Okay, right. So why is this statement controversial? Because most people, when they think about global warming, they think about the consequence of human actions, right? Right. You think about, we usually blame ourselves for global warming, correct? Right. Yeah. Everywhere you go, every article you read about global warming, this usually stems from our activities of burning fossil fuels. Right, it's usually about that. But this statement sort of goes in an opposite direction, and it raises a question as to whether global warming is a result of human actions, or it is a global phenomenon. It is something that will happen whether human actions are there or not. Okay, so this can be quite controversial. So, when some people come across this statement, they might disregard it. because it is something that they don't see every day. Okay, so for this kind of thing, you want to increase its credibility. Right? You want people to sort of believe that this is true. So one way to do it is to point out that this comes from Michio Kaku. Now, normally when you are write your assignment, you might already be aware that there are two different ways to make citation, right? You can have narrative style, and you can have parenthetical style. Parenthetical styles is something that you guys are very familiar with, okay? So it goes like this. You have a statement like the global warming is real. And then you would put the surname of the other, would be Lennon. All right, 2018. All right, it is called parenthetical style. You guys are very familiar with this, okay? The other style is called narrative style, where you put the surname of the other as part of the sentence. So Lennon, okay? And then 2018. All right, and then you have to go Lennon 2018, believe that the global warming is real. Okay. Now, this is called narrative style. Now, to improve the credibility of your source of information, what you can do is, instead of just putting the year of application right next to the other surname, you can add some affiliation, add some brief profile of the other, like Lennon, a professor, okay, a professor of geology. Okay, Lennon, a professor of geology at some university. Believe that the global warming is real. In fact, we only have one kind of global warming, so we don't really need article there. Okay, so global warming is real. So this part here, grammatically, we call this an appositive. So an appositive is like a reduced adjective clause where you omit the relative pronoun and linking verb altogether. Okay, so that's one easy tip to improve your credibility. Okay, so when you cite any information source, okay, it doesn't end just that, right? You also need to check the area of expertise of the other that you are who you're using his information source. All right, now let's have a look at exercise 3. So exercise 3 asks you to find a credible person on the internet to support the following claim. Education is most important for self-improvement and the development of a country. Okay, so your job is to go online and you can type exactly that, or you can paraphrase it a little bit as long as the meaning is the same. Okay, and then look for something, look for a match. Okay, look for a match. If you can find a match out there, don't forget to add your reference. Okay, but what's more important than having your reference is some details about your reference. In other words, details about the other. Okay, all right. Let's have some fun. I'll give you 3 minutes to do this. All right, then I'll give you some examples, some model answers. Okay, so let's have a look. All right, so the statement is education is important for self-improvement and development of a country. All right, so I might paraphrase that a little bit to some things like um, the impact of education on countries' development. Okay, right. Now, I might put something like a quote, like, right, quote, Quote, quote about the impact of education on countries' development. And again, the AI is so smart. Well, it got me everything. I don't even have to. I don't even have to, put my effort. There can be no economic, social, or political development without the development of knowledge. Say Chong, Mike, Mikhail. I'm not sure how to pronounce the surname here, so I will not read it. And he is the Minister of National Education of France. Okay, so all we have to do is to follow that link below to see if it's really coming from him. But I am quite positive that this is legit. This is valid. I don't think AI just made this up. Okay. Anyway, let's just follow the link. Okay, just to make sure that he's not making it up. All right. So powerful quotes from the GPE financing conference. And whoa, wait a minute. Where is it? Oh, the struggle for education is mother of all battle. Let us mobilize. Well, oh, okay. Okay. So there are about 36 pages of quotes. So we just have to find the one that is from the French minister of what was it again? The French Minister of National Education. Okay, no. That's from Tanzania. He doesn't look like he's from France. What about this guy? Nope. Ghana. Doesn't look like he's from France. Nope. 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 Who is he? He's from Italy. Doesn't look like a man, so I'm gonna skip that one. Nope. No. 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 Okay. Maybe he's the one. So this is Chong Mikhail. All right. Like I apologize. I can't pronounce the third word here. Minister of National Education in France. Okay, there can be no economic, social, or political development without the development of knowledge. Okay, so the development of knowledge has to means education. Okay, and that is the primary factors that contributes to economic development, social development, political development, which could be generalized as country's development. Okay, so I can quote this guy, all right? But I'm not just going to say Chong Michael Blanker because not everyone know who he is, okay? And since not everyone know who he is, the credibility of my statement will drop, right? I need to include his profile. So he is the Minister of National Education. So I'm gonna include that. So what I can say here is, according to Sean Michael, Blanker. The Minister. Minister of Education of France. Okay. Okay, so what he said was entirely different from the statement here, but they generally have similar meaning. Okay. But his statement doesn't really include self-improvement, right? It, it doesn't really include self. So I might remove that from my statement. And I'll just write education is important for the development of a country. According to Jean-Michel Blanquer, the Minister of Education in France, Education is important for the development of a country. All right. So that's how you do it. Moving on to acknowledging counter argument. Okay. So counter argument, what is it? So counter argument is the opinions of someone who think differently from you. Okay, so let's say we have a topic of discussion about where would be the best place to learn to speak English. Okay, now someone might say the best place to learn English would be in a country where English is the official language or the major spoken language, like the UK or Australia, for example, right? But other people might say, hey, we don't have to leave the comfort of our home. We don't have to spend so much money on air ticket and on living abroad. We can just learn English from home where we are. Okay. Now let's suppose that you are in favor of the second opinion. All right? You believe that English could be learned anywhere. Now, of course, you might have your own reasons. Some people who believe that English could be, learned anywhere might be thinking that we now have the internet, right? We now have the internet, and on the internet we can go to a platform like YouTube, and we can search for a channel that train you to speak the language. And there's so many YouTube channels out there that focuses on language learning. Some channels, they might have a playlist of grammar, English grammar, just English grammar. All right, from beginners to intermediate to advanced. Some channel only focuses on English conversation, and you can definitely learn a lot from the YouTube channels. All right, but you probably don't have anyone to practice with, so that might be a catch, right? And then you can point out that today we have AI, right? We have the AI, and the AI is capable of being your partner. So whatever you learn from your YouTube video, you can practice it with the AI. And the AI will be able to give you a response on how much English you have improved. Right? Okay, so these are your reasons. Okay, you have two reasons. Number one, people can learn English by watching YouTube videos. Number two, people can practice English with the AI. But if you want to make your argument more persuasive, more convincing, you have to also understand why some people choose to go abroad to study English. Okay? You have to know why they see it that way. But it doesn't mean that you accept that belief. You just need to be aware of what other people are thinking. Why is that important? It is important because in order to convince someone, right, you have to try to eliminate the force that will take an object from a different direction. Making an argument is kind of like tug of war. Okay, so you are pulling the rope towards your side, okay, and other people are pulling the rope toward their side. So you can just keep on pulling the rope, okay, but there's so much friction, so much resistance. So it is base for you to just, you know, convince people on the other side to stop pulling against you, right? Stop being a resistance and try to come on your side. This way, you don't have to exert so much pulling force. Okay, well, this is not possible in the actual game of tug of war. It is actually possible in writing. It's kind of like, you know, you show someone that you understand what he's thinking, and you prove to that person that what he's thinking is wrong, and then you convert him to accept your belief. You see what I mean? Okay, so if I'm going to go on and assert a claim that English could be studied anywhere, not necessary in uh, in a country where English is a native language, then I will have to think about reasons why someone want to study English abroad in the UK or in America or in Australia or in Canada. Now, these people might see it that way because they believe that the environment will somehow compel a person to try hard to be good at the language. Okay, and they may also believe in, the opportunity for learners to practice using English. Okay, because they might also believe in the idea that practice makes perfect. If a learners study English in his own country where English is not a spoken language, then he might have no one to practice with. And without a person to practice with, he's not going anywhere, stuck in a rut, not making any progress. Okay, but if he goes somewhere like the UK, where the majority of people speak English, then he will have the opportunity to practice what he's learned. Okay, and the environment will also force him to keep on practicing, because if he doesn't talk, then he would have no friend, he would feel depressed, he won't he won't be happy. So to be happy, he will have to, go outside, meet with people, socialize, talk to them. So that's what these people believe. Okay, but then you have to show them that what they're thinking is no longer valid or is wrong. For example, okay, I could address the point where the dissenters of my opponent, right? Let's just call these people my opponent. Okay, I can just address the point where my opponent putting emphasis on using the environment to force people to speak English. I could say that, the result of this is actually counterproductive. Of course, initially you believe that the social environment would compel someone to try to speak English, but the but the nature of most people is that they if there's sense of force coming from certain direction, all right, they will just try to avoid it. it's not likely that they will allow that force to keep on pushing on them, right? Most people just walk away from it, walk away from the spot where they get pushed. So what I'm trying to say is, if a learner find himself under so much pressure in the, in a foreign land, okay, in a different cultural environment, then he will try to run away from it. So he won't go out to talk to people who don't speak his own language. Okay, he would go and find the place where he could meet with people of his own kind, people from his country. Okay, because he would feel more secure that way. He'd feel more comfortable that way. And he would never practice his English because essentially he's just continue his old lifestyle, talking to the same kind of people in a different country. That's it. All right. So if you see it this way, then you will see that the environment is not going to force anyone towards learning, struggling to speak good English. All right, the environment just scares them off, which just cause them to go in a different direction. Now, as for the other point, English needs practice. All right, and most people who believe in studying English abroad believe that the countries like UK, Australia, and Canada would offer language learners a better opportunity to practice the conversation. However, what I'm thinking today is, because of the internet, the practice of English is borderless now. You don't have to cross the border, right, to practice your English. There are many platforms, all right, where you could make friends with anyone, or you could make friends with expats who might be living in your country, or you can make friends with people who come from an English-spoken country. All right, through a certain platform, you could have a video calls with them where you can see each other face to face talking in English. So that's possible. That's no difference from going abroad to make friends. In fact, it's much more easier, or and result guarantee if you make friends online. I mean, through online platforms, right? It increases your chance of finding someone. Okay, because the computer will do the job of finding friends for you. If you go abroad, you are doing the work of finding a friend for yourself. All right, so that's a key difference. But if you're very timid, you don't really want to make human friends, AI might be another option for you. Okay, for those of you who are a little bit on a shy side, you could take advantage of the AI to be your speaking partners. All right. Okay, so that's what acknowledging counter argument means. Okay, so from now on, whenever you make an argument, don't just focus on your own reasons, on the reasons to support your claim. You think about other people's reasons to support the claim as well. But then try to refute those reasons, try to attack or weaken those reasons. Okay? All right. So that's what acknowledging argument is all about. Now, I would like to take a 10 minutes break, and we come back to do some more practice with acknowledging counter arguments. I'll see you soon.